None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. All right. Let's see. It's been a while since I streamed. I have I don't know if it's allergies or what's going on, but I told Random and Dirty I would stream, so. Alright, I need to figure out. OBS did an update, and I don't know where my chat window is. Guess maybe I can do it this way. Try this out. What's up, man? Is that Apple right? Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to turn off the volume on this. Yeah, what's up, dude? Yeah, I've been like stuffy, and I don't know if it's the pollen or all that, but I've been working outside for the last couple days, so let me try to get back up here. What's up, Random? How are you, bud? Huh. It keeps going out of live for some reason. Hopefully the chat's keeping up. I don't know why on OBS I can't figure out where the chat. They used to have these like, I don't know what they're called, but like I could read the chat in OBS, and that's how I normally did it. But now I don't see that option anymore. Load docs, custom docs. Probably should have done this before. All right, so what do you guys want to talk about? Yeah, I don't know. I'm real stuffy right now, so but I've been kind of run down because I know you guys noticed I haven't streamed in about a month. Hey, you sound sick. Anyway, Seder screwed. No, I don't. If you guys want to talk about that, hold on, let me pull up. I was looking at SPY earlier. So I haven't really been watching the markets for the last, like, oops, that's tools. I need to go up here. Let me see what I had. What that is. Basically kind of had two different paths that I had drawn out, I guess, the last time I streamed, which is about a month ago. So back when it was like here-ish, I basically called out that I thought it was going to basically go down to the spring, which I think is going to be somewhere around. Let me do it this way. Can I do it this way? Let's see. Let me draw out where I think the spring is going to be. Guess this will work. Okay, so I had the spring somewhere near, I think it was 48 cents. So somewhere around like here-ish. I don't think it's going down to this. For whatever reason, the highlighter on this thing is really big, so it makes these like really big like swipes. I don't know. Can you reduce that down? Thickness. Here we go. Let's change the thickness on this. Oh, I'm changing it on the horizontal ray. Hold on. I need to do it on this thing. Here we go. Yeah, I don't see a way of making that highlighter smaller. these were seconds. I don't even know how that works for the highlighter. But basically, the thought was this. So usually we have a spring before we head back up. So if you look at the last run, we kind of came back down. We touched this point right here, made the all-time low, and then we came back up. That should have been a little bit higher. Let me pull this up. So we broke through this. This should be the spring, probably. Let me just do it this way. Maybe we can move these up a little bit. That makes it a little bit better. So it's going to take one of two paths, I think. It's going to either dip down, hit the new all-time low, which will probably be either 52 cents or possibly in the like 40s, like 46, 40, 48, something like that. And then at that point, there's going to be probably a little bit of buying pressure. We kind of talked about this in the Discord, but basically I think we noticed Renaissance, who's been in with the two like largest runs, they bought into Ethereum, and my guess is they'll probably, if they're actually, I'm curious about them because every time they've basically bought in, the stock has moved up. So either they have good information that's coming in on when these things are going to move, and they play it for a short rip, or I don't think they're in it for the technology aspect and because they think, this is a massive turnaround story, or they would have had a bigger position. So my guess is what we'll probably see is when we get down into this range right here, because if you look, we had a whole bunch of people sell out already or reduce positions. There was a couple new ones. And so the new ones will probably be, my guess is, people who are just playing it short term. If we go back in history to this run, that was, this is the April run right here. So if you kind of look, this thing had been bleeding out, right? Came back up, and then came down here. This was the spring, and it kind of consolidated in this range. And then that's when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just had like 142 million in volume. So what I'm hoping is this, because I know there's a lot of people right now that have been averaging down. I'm thinking at this point right here, hopefully we'll get down to this point right here. We'll hit the spring. We'll consolidate in this area in between 60 cents and about like it depends if it's 52 or if it's 48 or 46, whatever it is. We'll consolidate in this area for a while until they actually see that there's some buying pressure. And then from there, it's going to probably start either breaking back up into these like, about the dollar range, or it's going to continue just chopping around this area until the next earnings. So the earnings, I can move over because we have a better sense now. There we go. I had mapped these out just as potentially like where I think catalyst could be. The biggest thing I noticed from the balance sheets is that like they need to stop burning so much cash. And I know that's hard for a company that, their model was ultra growth, but like the laying off people in the Philippines, feel for their families, but at this time, like the company needs to figure out something. So that was a good start. They still need to find places to trim. Okay, let's see. What's up, man? You still got that cold. Just investors here. Can you take a look at ALL? Yeah, okay. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure because I'm not in my normal setup right now. Normally, for whatever reason, like, I don't know if you can see this or not, but OBS normally when I do it like this, it like has docs and I can like see chats and stuff like that, and I don't see any of that right now. So I'm not sure why that is, but just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Or am I just talking to myself? Okay, let's take a look at... Okay, good stuff. Yeah, I'm tired. I was gonna say I was up until like 3 last night. I've been working on. Most people are like, "Where have you been?" So I decided that I really wanted to focus on trying to do a project which is gonna hopefully help the Discord and anyone else that is interested in it. And essentially, what that means is I'm trying to, I guess, be able to send out alerts for when things are overbought, oversold. Look at technicals, look at fundamentals, and be able to send out like alerts through the Discord that are automated. So if there's the additional layer that that can be done by a lot of different people, but what we're trying to do is also factor in dilution and other like newsworthy things as like risk. So it's gonna try to basically take out some of these like if they have an active ATM going and it's clear they're diluting, like it's gonna skip over stuff like that. Because a lot of times you'll see high volume like you saw in BBBY, and they were diluting the whole time, but people didn't realize it until it was too late. The stock went from 7 a share down to I don't know. The last time I paid attention to it, it was like 10 cents a share or something like that. I guess we could look at it today. Let's take a look. I haven't been watching the stocks, to be honest, just because I've been working on this and I've been outside for work. What are they at now? What did they close at? Did they do a reverse split already? Am I crazy that they're at $1 or something? Okay, let's see. Oh, that's right. It's BBBYQ. Or that's right. That's BBBYQ. Do they? Oh, they don't even track it. That's right. So we can't even look at it on the regular. All right. Let's do a new tab. BBBYQ. 17 cents. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like, if you looked at the last 6 months, from like, I thought it was higher than that. Didn't it get to 7? Maybe it was like pre-market. I thought it hit like 7, and then it like dumped. So thoughts on the debt ceiling. So here's politics are annoying, but essentially what I think's going to happen is they always work out a deal in the end. There's been like a very few times where they don't do it. I think a lot of it's posturing. I just think at this point right now, both sides will say, well, I'm not going to concede, but at the end of the day, it's not popular for them to miss, the deadline and then have the United States go into default. So I think they work it out at the very end. And we'll see if the market rallies on that news. But at this point right now, the SPY's doing some weird stuff. They're in this weird channel right now. It's literally trading sideways for the last couple days. And I can probably move this around. That should be probably more like here-ish, but so far it's only gotten up to here. But I think eventually it could go up to the 420. But it's this weird like thing where it's literally just been going sideways, except for this one day where it kind of gapped down and then it gapped back up the next day, and it's been just in this range. So let me get back so it looks normal. There we go. Yeah, so we knew in the beginning, let me get this down. We knew in the beginning this was basically the peak of the market, the 480. And since then, it had been respecting this downtrend, right? So it basically would bounce off the tops of these, and then it broke through here, came back down, broke over it again, and I thought it was going to fill the bear gap that they left at like 421, and it's just been chilling in this like weird channel right here. So we're still below the trend line anymore. So this one's probably, eventually it will come back into play. But for right now, we're in this weird space because you have two gaps right here and you have a gap up here at 421. So like, it's in a weird place right now. So it can literally go either way, I think. But I think it's going to go to the downside. There's just too much going on. They're keeping it propped up right now. Earnings were like mixed, and so the question is like the economy's going to slow. They're already showing signs of it, but it seems like they're just keeping the market up right now. So like basically people can get out before they do some like major 20% correction. I do think we'll get down into the 385 area. So I think it will fill these two gaps at some point. And then there's this no man land where it's like, okay, do we get back down into this trend again? And then you've got a gap down here in the 340s. But I think when it happens, it will happen fast. Like you're going to see more of a couple days where you have like these huge candles down where you're erasing like trillions of dollars off of the SPY. All right, let's see. Anna goes into a padded hotel room because he was just talking to himself on YouTube. Thoughts on ATER diluting again without reaching the $2 warrants? I mean, it's a risk at this point right now. If you look at Ethereum right now, the cash on hand's probably somewhere around like 30 to 31, 32 million, depending on the current cash burn. They have it calculated. They did update this. I did talk to Sean at Delusion Tracker. They did update this because it used to be, I believe, like 4 million, and they adjusted it up and then reduced the amount of months as well. So the question is, do we have a run on Ethereum beforehand, or do we get if they have to dilute down at these levels, then that's going to screw over shareholders because they're going to probably have to produce about, I don't know, 40 million shares or something like that to get the amount of cash that they need. So your basic, you've got two camps right now. You've got a bunch of longs that have been in for a long time. Guys like, I think, what was his name? Asher. I think he used to be a former board member. He's holding like 1 million something shares. So the question is there enough longs that want to try to push the stock up and try to unlock those warrants for the cash? Because if they push Ethereum up to these warrant levels, I think they are, what do we say? Was it? Yeah, so they paid $290 for the shares and warrants for, that was the $3 one. I'll probably move this over. Here are the 320 warrants. Okay, so here's the other one. So they paid $190 for the shares and warrants, $66 for the warrants, and I think we worked it out to was roughly about $266 they would be profitable, or $240, something like that. So the question is, if they can push the stock price above $2 and these get exercised, then what eventually will happen is they would free up they would gain about 20 million, something like that, just from these $2 warrants. So that's an additional 20 million that they didn't have before. Cash on hand was 33 million. Prior to that, it was 43 last quarter. Yeah, we know about the mid cap debt covenant. Yeah, I mean, once again, this is one of those things where we're in a weird thing because we've seen it before. We went down to, what was that, like 67 cents, and then ran all the way up to like 167. Then people, I think the institutions were selling during this time frame. So the question now is there enough longs that are going to try to push this up so they can unlock the 20 million in warrants? Or are they just going to dilute down here and basically put a nail in the coffin for this company? I mean, this was always like the thing. When this thing squeezed back here to the 18, yeah, it was right about here, right? Was it 19 it went up to? I guess it was 1890 something, back from like $3. So it went from $3 to like 19, had a secondary run a couple weeks later, and then had been bleeding out. Then this was the one that basically most people got in on. So this one had hit that spring. It ran, that's back when they had like 40-50% short interest, and the stock ran up, and then Armistice unloaded everything, and so did all the other hedge funds. And then since then, it's just been bleeding. Then they had 2 dilution events during this time frame. And then since then, it's basically just been like there's no interest in it at all. Like that's basically what it's boiled down to. There's just zero interest on the retail front to, there's the people that are in our room, but this is a stock that was once, one of the most talked about, on Reddit and, or was it Stock Twits, and it's completely like radio silent right now. What's that thing called? It was meme stock or something ape wisdom, was that it? Yeah, I think it's this. So just to show you. So you can do a search. You have to excuse my coughing. Still have got. Yeah, 0 mentions in the last 24 hours. I mean, it's literally dead right now. So, let me see. Are you able to do... Granted, if another... So here's what's interesting. Back when it was in this one, during this run right here, can we look back in history? I wonder if that's possible. This is just in the last 24 hours, but I want to see if there's some sort of way of looking back in history. Because at the time, it was the number one talked about stock on the internet. Or for, I guess, within Reddit, Stock Twits. It's following these subreddits right here. 4chan, I guess in the crypto space as well. I don't know. So, let's see. I'm just following up. Longs, dilute, hedge funds, keep yo-yoing it. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. I didn't see something about... Oh, well, I didn't even see what he wrote, so I guess thanks, anyone. Amazon makes a lot of money off ATER. I mean, there is a possible that they just say that maybe we just go to, Amazon approaches them, or they approach Amazon and say, hey, do you have any interest in our business? I think ATER will start to look around 20 million. Yeah, I mean, like if the cash gets down to 20 million, they'll probably have to dilute. If they're burning 7 million at 33, it will happen before end of the year. And the macro environment is horrible. Yeah. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. Like at this point right now, Ethereum is dead in the water unless something happens. This is supposed to be, I guess, was first quarter, right? This is second quarter, and then we can go back here. This will be third quarter. So if they're out of cash by this point and the stock has not ran up to unlock one of these and free up that 20 million, I'm just hoping that's the way it goes at this point, because we are here. We'll bring it down here now. There's not a whole lot I can do. Like, they announced dilution here. The stock just got absolutely hammered down. They had that short run up, but I think that was basically the people that had some long positions just basically slapped the ass just so they would get the stock moving, and then they were able to sell out at these levels up here. So you can see they had a little bit of volume, and they're just bleeding off shares. So I mean, it's possible they go through another round of dilution, and at that point, that's kind of just like the nail in the coffin because if you look, they already have a float of 80 million. They've got another 20 something in warrants. Yeah, it's 23 in warrants, 23 million. So what's going to end up happening is they'll have over 100 million shares outstanding. When we found this stock, it was, I think, 29, 30 million. Yeah, it was like, yeah, so it was a tiny float back then. They did get naked shorted back then because they had so little float. But it's one of those things where they were just not profitable. They made a couple really, let's be honest, some poor decisions on overpaying for companies, and then since then they've been basically hammered down. So I think the short interest right now is roughly, what do we figure it out it was? Let me pull it up real quick. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I mean, at this point right now, though, it's interesting because like the market cap is 46 million, and they have 33 million in cash. So like at some point, you're basically gonna keep up with the cash. So if we figured this out, oh, that's because they had the wrong shares outstanding. That's what's going on. They still. This is why Vortex is trash. I'm gonna probably cancel my subscription to them because they're just never up to date. This is the wrong Ethereum. They've got like a bunch of issues for Vortex, and I understand this is a small cap that they're probably not paying attention to, but like, dude, there are filings that tell you what the float is and the shares outstanding. Like, this is unacceptable to me. Like, whatever source they're using, it's not very good. So, what was the last exchange reported short? It was about 8 million, about 14.58 million. They think it's going up a little bit, up to 9 million, probably because it's been hammered down. So about 15% short interest. So on the Reddit, when I wrote that, that was accurate. So that's good. Yeah, I mean, literally, this is chump change to these guys. Their estimated short value is about $5 million shorted against Ethereum. So it's not very high. Let's take a look. Utilization's back up to 100, though. Cost to borrow still very low. They're obviously shorting because they're lending out a good amount of shares again. FTDs are actually starting to climb again, though, which is interesting around here. We're not going to be on threshold. The free float on loan has gone up a little bit. So, but here's their live short interest. The cost to borrow is almost nothing. Like, there's too many shares right now available. Like, that's why the squeeze will probably not happen for this stock. If anything, it's basically, if you're able to, and the stock does do what I thought it might do, which is go for a warrant run, that's probably the chance to at least for people that are down in the ones and twos, they'll probably be able to make a little bit of money on if it does move up like that. But I mean, at this point right now, this may be like a multi-year hold if they're able to at least stay, around. At this point right now, they seem to have lenders that are still fine with them. Excuse me. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, at the time, when this thing was moving up very aggressively back in April, this was a stock that was just moving, and it had momentum, and then the bots started coming out, I think around this time right here. Or maybe it was actually around this time right here. We can go back and take a look at the dates on it, but let me see if I can find it. But I think what happened was the people who are shorting this stock, which I think is Armistice, possibly Apollo. I'm going to find something to blow my nose. Sorry. All right. Let me pull up this. Let's see if we have timestamps on any of these things. All right. Where is... All right. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. This was April 19th. So April 19th was right here. So this time frame right here is the top of it, right? So let me pull up a text. Bots appeared on ATER. Yeah, so right here on the 18th and 19th, it looks like. So it's like here-ish. I probably need... Maybe I am getting sick. Feel like crap. But they actually went to Troy Trades back when he was around, and they were trying to keep him from... Yeah, here we go. All right, I have to figure out a way of moving this over. There we go. My darling Trey, I'm much older and wiser than you. I highly advise you to read this comment carefully and take my advice. Warn our community not falling into the ATER trap. It's not the next GME or AMC. Like, this is a bot. Grandmother ape. Like, sure, that's a real thing. All of these came in the 17th. Let's see, what are these ones? So when did the start? It started on the 15th. So on this day, can't see anything. So yeah, bots appeared basically near the peak, and they were trying to basically get everyone out during this time frame. Here's the 18th, 17th. Okay. So like this time frame right here, they were trying to get people to sell, because I think what happened was we got way more momentum than they thought that we were gonna get. And so we started putting their shorts at risk because they had already used up all their warrants, and they were getting, they were selling during this time frame aggressively. And then anyone that was short, which it may be multiple ones, but I think especially Armistice, I'm pretty sure they were getting nervous that we might actually consolidate in this range and break out. And if that happened, they would have had to start probably, looking at cutting losses. So what they ended up doing was hiring those bots. I don't know if they went to the short squeeze sub, but that got shut down around this time frame. So like they shut down short squeeze for like a couple weeks. I think it was like 2 weeks. And then by the time it got back, the stock was already down here. So yeah. Yeah, Craig Hallam put out like a $3 price target on them. So, I mean, I think they want to get this, their shares sold, but like ticker, go to ticker. Okay, it's a GoDaddy. The link you sent me random there. Oh, okay. You spelled it wrong the first time. Okay, got it. Second time. Analyze stocks quicker with ticker. That's a good, clever rhyme. Get started for free. All right. Now I have to verify. Hold on. Here we go. All right. I will paste and then ticker. Search tickers. All right. So anyone that's interested, this is what Random sent me over. Let's see financials. Oh, that's nicely laid out. Yeah. See, and this is what I'm trying to do. So I don't know if you guys know this, but FINRA has an API. Let me see if I can pull this up. It's an application programming interface, and you're able to basically pull information. So what I'm trying to do is pull like all the different stocks and be able to filter through them through Python. So I've been learning Python basically, and then what I'm gonna try to do eventually is like be able to have the Discord alert or be alerted by basically the Python programming running on a server, and then at that point it'll be able to push out, like, hey, this is a stock to watch. There are going to be alerts, or I'm not going to. You can do automated trading off of it, but I'm not planning on doing that yet. I just want the alerts to be sent out in the beginning, but that's kind of what I've been working on for the last, I don't know, like month. So, all right, cool, got it there. There's the chat. Okay. Am I still talking? Am I still live? I don't see anyone talking. This is not efficient. I need to get OBS back up and running. I don't know why this thing's not. Properties. Docs. So weird. It used to like easily show you like the chat bar, all that stuff, and I don't see any of that now. I don't know why. Show settings folder. I don't like what they did because now I have no idea where any of this stuff is. Settings, stream, output, hotkeys, advanced. Yeah, I can't see it. I guess I'll have to stick with just looking through YouTube. Yeah, I'm barely alive. Yeah, I'm just tired. I stayed up till like 3 last night working on the program, and then I'm attempting to obviously work full time and write this stuff out. I'm learning Python as we go, so it's been a rough month for me. But I'm hoping that all this hard work pays off, and we're able to get some actual trading symbols and alerts. And but yeah, I think right now I've got fluid in my ears, so I'm pretty sure I've got some sort of thing going on. So I'll probably cut the stream early. Is it early? I don't even know what time it is anymore. I'm like completely out of it. I woke up early for work today. It was out the entire day and outside, and then came home, put the kids to bed, talked to my wife for about like 5 minutes. Apparently, I fell asleep on the bed, which is why I got started a little bit later. But the goal eventually is going to be, I want to get that thing up and running in the Discord, and then we'll try it out for a while. I'll let the mods, we'll basically test it because I don't want anyone trading off it. I just want to see what are, I guess what things are we hitting on? What things can we tweak? Because everything's just, when you look at RSI, when you look at all these different indicators, you're essentially just looking at, these are all just code. So like when somebody wrote all these things out, like, I don't know, probably is not the best view. Let me see. Oops. I think I added way too many. We got rid of some of these. But, all these things are essentially just scripts that are written in code. And so that's what I'm trying to learn right now. And then basically we can have indicators be alerted off, volume, if something's oversold, overbought, if it's hitting a Bollinger, if it's, hitting a fib line. These are all things that will be better in the future for us to basically incorporate into like trading. So we know, I'm sure at the time this was completely extended and this would have been probably signals to like sell during this time frame. We thought, this thing was squeezing. We didn't foresee, I think, what did we say? It was, they had like, Armistice had their shares for like 10 days and they unloaded every single one of them. So we didn't really see that coming. So that's going to be one of those things where this thing was going to help us take some of the bias out in the future. So, but yeah, at this point right now, I'm just hoping this will work out as far as, like if I have to go super long on the stock, as long as they're not going to, go out of business, I think we're fine. I don't foresee that. They seem to be getting lending whenever they need it. But then, once again, are we going to have 200 million shares at the end of this? And, are we going to end up being like a MULN where you went from 13 million shares to 20 to 56 to 70 to all of a sudden there was 175 million shares outstanding? Like, that's not what we want. Like, can you do that? Sure, but you better be bringing in a lot of revenue. And they're not at this point right now. So, like, it's the reason why they're having to go through a resplit and, a reverse split. So that's what I don't want to end up with is just, constant dilution. These guys are basically like, I think Yaniv at this point is taking his shares, 80% of his share or his money in shares. So I'm hoping at this point he's committed to like actually, and I know he made a lot of money earlier, but like I'm hoping he's committed to putting some real work in and getting the cash burn down, and them figuring out a marketing strategy that's going to be much better. They need to turn it around. That's the honest truth. Like, they were a company that was doing fine, and then they just completely overextended themselves. And like, it was hard to tell at the time how bad the shipping got, because at the time we weren't getting those numbers; they were all lagging. But those costs were going up and going up, and then they held for a little bit, and it takes a while for them. Everything's constantly, I guess with shipping especially, those numbers don't hit until later. So the improvements that they've had aren't showing up yet on the balance sheet. So, and they probably won't until, that's why they've been probably saying Q3, which is this one right here, this third line. This is where I guess that's roughly November. That's where I think the shipping things will start to actually hit the balance sheet, and we'll see margins improve. That's why they think they're going to be, positive EBITDA by then. But, these could be probably extended out. Oh, I messed that up. I don't know. Let's see. Just gonna draw something out. Like, this could be drawn out, and if it draws out too long and they're burning through cash still, we'll have to see what ends up happening. But like, I would love to see them pump up for this warrant, but I think at this point, until retail gets chatter going around, they don't have a reason why to push it up. Like, there was chatter in this range, which is why it flew up, because it was an excuse to basically get rid of the stock, push it up higher, and then probably reshort it. So until there's another attempt like that, we're going to see probably this like consolidation period, and then hopefully a move up, or it's going to go out, and then they're going to either have to use more of the debt. They still can pull more money out of mid cap if they need to, but that's just going to increase the amount of debt that they bring on, which means they need to increase revenue. So random cyclic evaluation, income statements, valuation. Okay. So right now, they've got their multiples there. So they have right now, this is the future what they have. So we are in this one right here. The price is currently this. Yeah, I think the market or the enterprise value that they were showing on, I think Ortex was like 42 million, but this is basically the amount of cash that they have right now. Oops, I don't know what happened there. And then street targets, what they have right now, $1.43. They have competitors, Newell Brands, Helen of Troy Limited. Yeah, like, those are big companies. Over 2 billion, 3 billion market caps. They're actually bringing in money, so that's a difference. You have Earthium has concerns. Let's see. Q3 may have EBITDA positive, but there's still taxes on cash on hand, so it isn't going to increase. That would lead into Q4, Q1. Yeah, I mean, like, we're in a weird, like, or not weird, but like, we are in a dangerous area for them, because they are not profitable and they need cash. And at this point right now, they started to cut things, but it's like almost like, guys, you should have been cutting stuff last year. Like, your plan is not working. Now, is there a way for them to suddenly, or not suddenly, but is there a way for them to build in something that brings in cash? Is there something they can change at this point to do better than what they're doing? Because like a subscription, or is there some other business model that they can bring into this? Like, if you gave me a couple $1,000,000, I could make something that people are willing to pay money for. I'm pretty sure. Like, I understand that that's their core competency was e-commerce, but like what you're doing right now isn't working. So you're still small enough you can pivot into other things. Like, you literally have been talking about AI. You've never used the SaaS for that, probably because I don't know what they're doing with that Amy. So like, can you sell that to somebody else, like as a software as a subscription? Like, they need to figure out some other models, is my opinion, because what they're doing right now is not working. And I understand that they thought that they were going to have this ultra growth, and we'll figure it later. We'll turn on a spigot and make money, but it's like that's not what's happening. If you look at their balance sheet over the course of time, it was like in the beginning it was like it doesn't matter because it's a squeeze stock, but then, oops, let me get rid of that. At this point right now, they need to make money, and they need to reduce their costs. And if they're not going to do that, then I'm hoping they can stretch this cash during this time frame, because I think what they need once this, if this is positive EBITDA, that's enough good news where it's like, okay, future forecasting, there might be at least some interest in the stock again from like an institutional perspective if they can start turning around the ship. But like, this is the time they need to turn around the ship. And if they don't do it in this time frame, then we will probably see further dilution, or it's just going to be a nightmare. The other thing that can happen, though, that's like kind of the wild card is there an Amazon or like a Walmart or some other company that uses them who is willing to basically just outright purchase them? For normally when that happens, you get a better valuation. Like, they might say, okay, we'll buy everything at like $2 a share. So is that possible? I do think it's a bit ridiculous that they're basically being shorted down to the amount of cash that they have on hand. That means that there's absolutely no other value in the company that they're seeing. Like, inventory is not even counting. Like, that to me is a bit silly. But I mean, that's where they are right now. So if you look, like, if you go here, I guess what do we need to go back up to this one? So, do they have cash on this? I'm not used to looking at it this way. Balance sheet, here we go. Yeah, so like 33 million in cash. Oops. I guess they have some sort of chart that's up there. 33 million cash. Inventory's 40 million right there. And they're literally going to have this thing valued at like, what's the market cap right now? 48 million, something like that. 46. So, I mean, they're not even giving them credit for the inventory they have. So, I mean, at some point, someone might come in and, be like, all right, well, that seems undervalued. So, we'll see. Employee reduction in the Philippines, I will assume it also decreased revenue in that area. I don't think so. Most of their stuff's sold in the United States, so I don't understand why you think that the decrease in revenue would happen. To me, that was basically I don't what maybe that we're making stuff in there and they have enough inventory at this point. We have to look into further what they were doing in the Philippines, because at this point they already have inventory in their shelves. They need to sell it. And I don't think they were shipping things to the Philippines, Earthium. So I don't think that's going to be a huge decrease in revenue for laying off people in the Philippines. They're pretty much only in the United States. So I don't see where that's relevant. it's a call center in the Philippines. Yeah, whatever. They can automate half that stuff nowadays. They could outsource Amy to other companies' subscription fees, a couple million a month. Yeah, I mean, like, they need to change what they're doing. Like, the other thing that I noticed though is they're trying to. It looks like these future events right here. This Oppenheimer, I know they had a relationship with Oppenheimer at some point. I'm wondering, are they able to track, like, you know, a whale just to come in and be like, listen, we're completely undervalued, we're being shorted into the ground. You know, is it possible we see a movement when one of these they present, someone's like, that's not a bad idea, and then they can attract a whale or two to kind of get the share price back up. I mean, I think that's why they're doing some of these like small cap events and or micro caps, I should say. But yeah, it's a call center, and you said dirty. Yeah, I mean, once again, we'll end up seeing how everything goes. But all right, it's now 11:15. I went longer than I thought I was going to, but I need to blow my nose again. I think I'm just going to sign off. But I did tell you guys I was going to stream, even though I'm sick. I'm like, yeah, might as well. But yeah, I think the last time I was streaming, my kids had given me like the plague, but this one feels more like a sinus infection or something. Like I've been outside a lot, and it's a lot of pollen right now in my area. So anyway, you guys have a great evening. I'll see if I can do it on Thursday as well, but I am trying to get through this. I'm taking like a Python like module course, and then have to practice it, and then there's not enough time in the day. So, but I'm hoping that will eventually pay off, and we'll be able to have alerts and all this other good stuff inside the Discord. So, you guys have a great evening, and I will talk to you guys later.